Hello, Pool Chasers. Thank you for joining us on episode 50 of the Pool Chasers podcast. And you know our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. Episode 50. Wow, can you believe it, Tyler?
Pretty incredible, man. This is a huge milestone for all of us here at Pool Chasers. It's just amazing how much has gone on over this past year, and we're so excited for what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, thank you all for the support you've given us over the last year and a half or so. We really appreciate it. And we're really honored to be the voice of this incredible community. We thought we'd do something extra special for this episode and get the perspective of Tyler's wife, Megan, on the journey through entrepreneurship. Everything we did at Brothers and do at Pool Chasers could not happen without the incredible support we receive at home. We want to thank all three of our amazing wives for all you do.
Yes, thank you so much for being our backbone and for all the support. You know, I had a lot of fun recording this episode with Megan and hearing her side of the story. A lot of the stuff I knew, but, you know, some stuff I learned on this episode as well. So we give you kind of a behind the scenes look into our lives and what it took for our family to get through some of the ups and downs of starting a business from scratch. You know, it takes a ton of communication and understanding from both sides to accomplish that work-life balance. It's taken a ton of sacrifice and adjustments throughout the process, but we wouldn't change it because we learned every step of the way. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope it provides you some insight and encouragement for whatever life throws at you.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Megan.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. I'm super excited to have you in the studio, talk to the woman who's been a strength, my backbone. You know, one of the main reasons we're able to work as hard as we do while raising families. Cannot thank you enough for all the encouragement you've given me and all the sacrifices that you've made to allow us to do what we do.
It's really cool to be here to kind of see what you guys do on the day-to-day. I've been on the sidelines, you know, cheering you on for years, but it's really cool just to be in the middle of it and be like, okay, so this is what they do. I can picture it now. So that's fun for me.
Thank you. So you want to kind of let the listeners get to know you a little bit better. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, you know, where you grew up, how we met, and about our family?
Oh, I'd love to. So I'm a Midwest girl, grew up in Minnesota. Go Minnesota. Woo! My sisters and I have two sisters, Chris and Anna. Shout out to Anna. That's Kyle's wife. It's kind of a family biz we got going on here. So I grew up there. Loved the Midwest, you know, all the greenery and all that, and just enjoyed, you know, being outside. We grew up on a hobby farm, so no animals, but we had crops. So it's just, you know, fun to go out and ride bikes and run around, play. It wasn't like today where everything's like, oh, be careful, you got to be inside. Like, we grew up literally in the middle of nowhere. I remember one time we were driving and we're home. I call it home, you know, back home, and Tyler's driving. We're on a dirt road where there's nobody on the roads. It's just you. And Tyler turns on his blinker to drive into our driveway. And I remember telling him, hey, Tyler, you turning on the blinker for the bugs or what? Because there's nobody around. So I'm like, why do you have your blinker on, dude?
Yeah.
So that was
I grew up in the city. That's what you got to do.
Right? But not where I grew up. So, yeah, I had a good life growing up. Mom and Dad worked really hard for us. They just provided all of our needs and wants. And I remember when Anna was born, I was 9 when my mom got pregnant and 10 when she was born. And I just remember feeling like, this is like so cool. Like, I have a little sister now, and I'm the middle of the 3 sisters. So it was really cool just to have Anna around, and just grew up, you know, kind of that like good old days type feeling, just, you know, out in the country. I went to a small private school, literally next to the cornfields. Like, you
Yep.
drive into our school and you look left, there's a cornfield, and you look right, there's a cornfield, and straight ahead is the school.
Yep.
So I went to school. I'm out kind of in the middle of nowhere too, but we were only 30 minutes south of the Twin Cities. So even though I grew up like out on a farm and in a small town of 5,000 people, if you want the big city, it's 30 minutes away. So that was kind of nice too. We had like the best of both worlds. Like, grew up shopping at the Mall of America and going just, you know, into the cities for fun. And as we got older in high school, you know, we'd go up to St. Paul, Minneapolis and go drive. And so it was always just, you know, a good time up there. Like that Midwest feel.
Yeah.
We did have a pool growing up. So my mom was so cute. She worked from home. My mom did medical transcription. And so in the morning, she would drop us off at the community pool, my sister and I, before Anna was born. And she'd leave us there all day. And then in the afternoon, she'd pick us up. So yeah, being around pools was what we did in the summer. She'd drop us off. We'd swim, pick us up. She'd always give us a couple cents to grab a lollipop, and that was what we ate. We swam and ate some lollipops. Do you remember the caramel-coated apple lollipops?
Yeah, with the green wrapper.
Yep, with the green wrapper. That's what we had for lunch.
Nice, Mom.
Yes, that was great. Yeah, thanks, Mom. If my kids did that today, I'd be like, yeah, you're not eating that. You need, like, protein. But back then, that's what we had for lunch.
That's awesome.
Yes, it was great.
So they just let you guys hang out by yourselves?
Oh, yeah. Yep, Mom would drop us off. And then there's a payphone. So if we needed anything, we'd have to get a quarter and call Mom on the payphone. And we'd tell her, okay, we're ready. Come pick us up. And she'd pick us up in the afternoon.
Did you have to use your quarter for your lollipop?
No, she'd give us two. One for a lollipop, one to call her.
What if you bought 2 lollipops?
We didn't because we knew we had to keep a quarter to call Mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're nice then. You obeyed the rules.
Yeah, I was a rule follower. My older sister, not so much. Me, I was great at following rules. Because I didn't want the wrath of Dad when he came home from work.
Well, they obviously trusted your older sister with you at the pool.
Yep. Except one time, Krista hates this story, but I'm going to tell it because it's funny. One time she was hanging out with boys. So the pool is fenced in by like a chain link fence, so you could see everything. The one time she was hanging out with boys from her school, and I could not find her at the pool. And I thought she left me, but she didn't drive. Like, we were too young to drive. So how did she leave me? I don't know. But I was little. And I called Mom. I was like, I can't find Krista. I can't find Krista. And Krista got in so much trouble, and she was mad for weeks on end. She's like, you dumb little sister. I was across the fence. You could see me. She was like at a picnic table with these boys. And I'm like, you're not supposed to be over there. You're supposed to be in the pool area. And so she was mad at me forever because I called Mom early and said, I can't find Krista. And Mom freaked out and was like, oh my gosh.
And she probably got in trouble for talking to boys.
She did. She probably got in trouble for boys and going across the fence. Yeah.
That's a no-no with your dad.
Right? Oh, it was hilarious. It was so funny. So grew up in Minnesota, but then moved to Arizona when I was 20. My best friend, Natalie, her husband was a Navy SEAL. So in college, I went out to Virginia Beach to live with her. And I met some people at church. And they're like, hey, we want to move back to our hometown of Phoenix. Do you want to help us move? And I was like, sure. They're like, we'll pay you, move across country, and then you can come back to Virginia Beach. So that's how I got to Arizona, kind of random. I just met these people in Virginia Beach at church one day, and they're like, yeah, we'll pay you to help us move. So I drove across country virtually with strangers. Why my dad allowed that, I don't know either, but...
Well, Natalie went with you, right?
No.
Oh, really?
I lived with Natalie, and I met them
that's right.
at church. And Natalie stayed in Virginia Beach because her husband was coming home from deployment. So I went by myself with these people, but it turned out to work out perfectly. I mean, here we are today still in Phoenix and 13 years later. But it's just crazy that... So I just went across country, fell in love with Phoenix, and I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to come to school here. Like, this is the place I need to be. Never been to Phoenix before. I was 18 at the time. So just young and like, I'm going to come back here. So then after that, I got them all moved, settled. The end of summer's coming. I needed to go back to college. So I entered my sophomore year of college, and I asked my dad, I said, can I move to Phoenix? And he said, let me think about it. So then like 2 weeks later, he's like, you can move after you get your AA. So I finished up college with my AA in Minnesota, Go Crown College. Not clown, crown, like a king. So I did that. I had to finish up my AA was the agreement. So I got my AA and then moved to Phoenix. And then that's where I met Tyler. We met at church, and it's been history ever since.
How do we meet? What do we always say?
Oh, you had me at whoa.
Yeah.
So you had me at whoa. So Yeah, we had to be at church on a Monday morning. We were in this like discipleship group. And unfortunately, I was the only girl. And I remember thinking to myself, I am not going to school with being the only girl. And my dad said, well, give it a week. If you still hate it in a week, I'll come back and pick you up. So my mom and dad drove me out from Minnesota to go to school. And he said,
also say you're not going to school with California.
No, with California punk. So I met Tyler and his family. I remember vividly. I met you guys on a Saturday night.
Yep.
And our director introduced us. And I remember looking at Tyler and I told my mom, I have to go to school with this punk, because Tyler was wearing like a flat bill like cap, and he had it sideways, and he was wearing Dickie shorts and a Hurley t-shirt, and he just looked like a punk. Like, I'm farm town girl from Minnesota, right? Like small town, goody two shoes girl, and then here I am looking at this guy from California, and I'm like, oh, he looks like such a punk.
It must have been hot because that image is
still there,
drilled in your head.
Yeah, you were. So, yeah, I remember telling my mom, like, oh, I don't want to go to college with this punk. And my dad said, well, just give it a week. If you still hate it, I'll come back and pick you up, which would have been a huge sacrifice, right? I said earlier that mom and dad worked full time. So they already are taking time off work to take me to Arizona and drop me off with all my stuff. And then they got to come back a week later. But so Monday morning, like, we met Saturday night, and then Monday morning school started, and I was going in to the church, and you were coming out, and we like ran into each other in the doorway, and Tyler goes, whoa. And I was like, oh crap, that's so embarrassing. Like, I almost ran into him. I'm like, oh geez. So, and then Monday happened. They made us do the scavenger hunt around Scottsdale, like, to get to know the city, and we split up into 2 groups. And guess whose group I'm in? I'm in Tyler's group. So it's Tyler, myself, and another boy. And I was like, oh boy, okay. So we're doing this scavenger hunt, and Tyler was driving. And Tyler and I hung out in the truck while we made the other kid go out and get all the items. So I was sitting in the front seat of Tyler's truck, and we're just like hanging out talking. And we have to go like around the city and pick up all these items, like items from restaurants, take a picture of the Scottsdale airport entrance. Like, we had to go around and like collect items. And we made the kid in the back seat go get all the items while Tyler and I just hung out. And I remember, like, just after day 1, after lunch, I was like, okay, I can handle this. Yep. And so I called my dad on Monday night. I'm like, no, I'm fine. You don't need to pick me up. He's like, really? It's only been 1 day. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
That's cool. I eased your worries.
Yeah, my nerves. I was like, yeah, I can handle this.
What's funny about that day too is it was raining the first day.
Yes.
And we were in my truck, and I went fast and turned, and the truck spun and did 360 in the road. And that was the only day it rained the whole time we were in Masters, because we went into like 189-day drought or something. Like the very first day, and then the whole rest of the time no rain. It was the longest drought in like Arizona history or something. Yep. But that was the first cool, like right out of the gate, the first probably hour we knew each other, spun out and did a 360 in the truck with the rain.
Yeah, it was fun and scary all at the same time. I remember grabbing the handles, like the door handles, like, oh my gosh.
Well, long story short, we became best friends throughout that process, right? And then started dating second year. So, got married. Mm-hmm. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. 10 years.
10 years.
Been married 10 years. We have 2 little boys who are precious, 7 and 3. Yep. So people tease us. Our boys' names are Maddox and Maxton. So how confusing is that? Like, Tyler's dad's always like, oh, why'd you guys do this to me? Because he mixes up their names. And we just could not get off the name Maxton. Like, we already had Maddox as our firstborn, and we just could not get away from Maxton. So their names are very similar, but they're brothers, and they love each other.
Yeah. Yep. We have a lot of fun.
We have a lot of fun. Lots of giggles, lots of tickles. Like yesterday, we were hanging out, and the little one, he's 3, he's like jumping all over me, and Mommy, do your faces. And I'm like making silly faces at him, and he's cracking up. And Tyler and Maddox are over there playing sword fights and gun fights. And we definitely have a boy house. Lots of toys and balls and baseballs and all
Balls
kinds
flying
of stuff.
everywhere all the time.
Yep. Watch out.
Yeah, we don't have any items just sitting on shelves anymore.
No way. Everything's, toy closet, on the floor,
Yeah.
in the kitchen. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So what do you think you like most about being mom and a wife?
Being mom and a wife, just living in those moments of the fun, like, kids teach you, I think, just as much as we teach them, right? Like, it's our job to guide and protect them and provide wisdom for them, but they help us grow and learn as well. Especially with your firstborn, you're a new parent, a new mom. You've heard what to do, you've seen what to do, but you don't know what to do until it's your turn, So just living in that experience of learning how to be the best mom and the best wife and trying to balance everything. I think it's real important for people to be able to balance, home life and work life and try to be a mom and a wife. Like, a lot of times, I think us as women, we get that quote unquote mom guilt. And you're trying to balance everything and juggle everything, but it's good to remember that it's okay to not get everything in, just as long as you're getting what you need and what your child needs and your husband. A lot of times too, we get so wrapped up in the kids that we forget about our partner or our spouse. So I think it's important too, just to have that balance of, hey, I can manage life and I can give some to my spouse, give some to myself, give some to my kids. And at the end of the day, you do the very best thing that you can do.
Right. That's very cool. So you ended up getting your degree, right? So you had a career for a while. Now you're a stay-at-home mom. So what did you do?
Yeah. So after our time in our church discipleship group, Tyler and I did that for 2 years. And then afterwards, I went back to get my bachelor's in elementary education. So Tyler and I were married when I graduated college for the second time with my bachelor's. And I was a teacher for 8 years. I loved it. It was great. I had a wonderful job. Taught at the same school for 8 years. It was a small charter school here in Scottsdale, 4th grade mostly. I kind of taught all over. I did a little bit of special education. I did art for part-time, the after-school program. For a while, I did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade language arts. And Tyler was Tyler was a trooper for that. Because, it's junior high, so you're preparing them for high school. So they write all the time. They're writing reports and papers and summaries. And Tyler was so helpful. I'd bring home stacks of papers to grade, and he'd be like, oh, let me help you. But yeah, he didn't see me very much that year.
Well, that was super funny, though, when you would just read people, the way how they spell things. You're like, man, how did this kid even get to 6th grade?
Right? I'm like, oh boy, I got my work cut out for me here.
Yeah, he can't spell the word love correctly.
No, or because. Little Johnny could not spell because. I'm like, you are in 8th grade. Why can you not spell because?
Because B.
Because B. But yeah, it was fun. It's definitely a learning curve for me. And then after that, I did 3rd grade. Had this really tough class to manage. Just little sweethearts, but they were naughty pants. And my boss asked me during that year, she's like, will you go to 4th grade with them? And at first I'm like, oh, heck no, I'm not moving up with this class. The worst class that I've ever had. No, thanks. Mm-hmm. She's like, just pray about it, Megan. You're so good with them. Will you please, think about going to 4th grade with them? And of course, I prayed about it. And I was like, within a week, I came home, talked to Tyler. And I was like, all right, I'll move up to 4th grade with them. And I'm so glad I did, because the relationships that I made with those parents, I'm still friends with today. Not all of them, but a good, probably half of my students I'm still, friends with on social media. And we get together like every couple months with 2 of the parents that I had in that class. So it was really cool to see like the friendships come out of that. And then after that, I taught 4th grade. So I looped up with them to 4th grade, and then I stayed in 4th grade until I, quote unquote, retired.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm fully retired, but for now, I'm home with our 3-year-old with our youngest, and that's been a new challenge, but it's been fun as well. I miss teaching, though. I miss the kids, and I miss that environment, but it's been so nice just to have my own schedule. I take my oldest to school. I pick him up in the afternoon, spend time with my youngest. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for making that happen for me.
You're welcome. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is your business's command center. The easy-to-use app powers your sales, operations, customer service all in one place. If you want to check them out, go to getjobber.com/poolchasers to receive 20% off your first 6 months.
So we're also excited. Jobber and Dirt Monkey University have partnered to bring a 2-day, one-of-a-kind live event to Atlanta, Georgia, August 23rd and 24th. And it's aimed at entrepreneurs who recognize that reaching your maximum potential requires 360 degrees of total commitment.
So you may ask yourself, what is this exactly? Well, it's a 2-day event to create a complete blueprint for your future. That's the mission of Impact Live. Immerse live training that will give you specific tools and advice to massively grow your service business and your personal life.
And you know, this is not your typical business seminar. Impact Live will be looking at every area of an entrepreneur's life, inside and outside of their business, and peeling away layers to reveal their full potential and their most ambitious goals.
So, we all really like to be motivated, and there's an incredible lineup of speakers. So that includes industry experts, different types of motivational speakers, business coaches, and authors ready to give you the tools you need to massively grow your business in a meaningful way. When you attend Impact Live, you will walk away with a complete blueprint for your future.
So if you want to find out more and buy tickets, you can go to goimpactlive.com, look up #GoImpactLive. There's a ton of stuff on social media going on right now. And we'll say this again, it's in Atlanta, Georgia, this August 23rd and 24th. Hope to see you guys there.
Thanks for sharing all of that with us. So we want to kind of dive into your story, into your side of the story as far as our business goes. And, so you were teaching, I was at the vitamin company. We had, Maddox Healthcare had a plan, and life was getting pretty comfortable. We had a plan to get out of where we were living, and we had everything set in order. And, then I got passed over for that promotion and came home one day and said to you, what if I started my own business? So what do you think was going through your head at that time?
What was going through my head was, come again? So I remember this vividly as well. My sisters say I have a good memory, but it's just because, you have these life moments happening. So at the time, we were living with Tyler's parents in their basement. So Scottsdale, Phoenix homes, they don't have basements, but somehow his parents found one with a basement. And it was 2 bedrooms downstairs, a bathroom, and like a living room. So it was perfect for us. We had a newborn. He was 6 months old. Our oldest was 6 months at the time. And we're living down in Tyler's parents' basement just to help get out of debt and build up a savings. So when it worked out perfectly for us to be there for that, a couple of years we were there. But we're already living with somebody else. We don't own our own house. We don't have an apartment. We're living with his parents. And we have a young son. And to be fully honest, I'm diabetic, so healthcare, we have to have it, right? I mean, I go to the doctor frequently. I'm always I have prescriptions I pick up once a month. Like, we have to have healthcare in order for me to survive and live.
Yeah, which you've had since you were 4, because you're type 1. So.
Yeah, type 1. Yep, I've had it, virtually my whole life. So, healthcare is, very important to us as a family. So Tyler comes home. I remember it was evening, so it was home after work and probably around dinner time, and we were downstairs, just hanging out, and he's like, so I'm thinking about starting my own business. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I just got, passed over this promotion. They gave it to so-and-so, and I felt like I was more qualified than he was, and, I'm just tired of sitting behind a desk and working for the man. I want to work for myself. And I'm like, what? I remember thinking, I don't think I actually said this out loud, but I remember thinking, babe, what skills do you have? What would you do? Do you have skills to work on your own? And I would not say that out loud because, it sounds hurtful. But I remember thinking, do you have any skills? But he knew that pools was what he wanted to do. I remember him telling me, well, I'm thinking about, doing a pool business. And I was like, okay, well, we live in Arizona. Everybody has pools. And he started to research and just kind of see what goes into it. But the mom in me and the human side of me was like, but we literally have no money. Like, we're living with our in-laws. We have this little baby. I'm teaching, but, that doesn't make very much. And, your job is at least stable, where we're getting a solid income, paycheck to paycheck. Like, they're coming in every 2 weeks.
Right.
So if we do this, and I remember Tyler telling me, well, you have to spend money to make money. And I'm like, dude, we don't have any money to spend. Like, once again, we're living with your parents and we have a 6-month-old baby.
It was towards the end of the whole process, though. So we did have savings and some stuff getting ready to buy a house. But
I just remember being freaked out that steady income wasn't going to come anymore, and that you would have to create that steady income. But me being your wife and being your quote-unquote cheerleader, if you will, I trusted you, and I knew that you wouldn't let our family down. I knew that you could, make this happen if you really put your mind to it and put your foot forward and say, okay, we're going to do this. So that part I was grateful for, is that I knew, like, okay, Tyler's a stand-up guy. I can trust him. He's not going to let me down. And worse comes to worse, if it doesn't work out, he'll move on and do something else. So I appreciated that part as your wife, just knowing, like, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it together. And I'm going to be supportive and just kind of watch it play out and see what happens.
Right. It was a lot of different long conversations, obviously, but, I brought you through the process with me. We met with Ed and Susie and made that decision together. I never really just dropped it on you and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what it is, and whatever. It involved you in the whole process. And we met with Ed and Susie to try to make it more of a doable situation where we're still getting some type of income every week by working there and then doing this on the side. And that kind of helped. They allowed us to build our business while, working for him. So there's a lot of different conversations throughout many, many months. I actually think when I first told you, I did not know that I wanted to do pools. I just knew I didn't want to work there anymore. So then we started researching different kinds of businesses.
Right. And
then you told me that Andre bought a pool route. So then we started talking and researching that, and that's where the decision was made. But yeah, I mean,
and you grew up around pools.
Yeah.
In California, you always had a pool in your backyard. So you knew a good amount of how to care for them.
But I think, Greg and I talk a lot about this industry being kind of a hidden gem, because you can literally start your own business for very little money, build up your route and sustain a family, on this income, which is cool. There's not very many other businesses that have that little amount of startup. And I don't think there's any other business that I could have started at that time, other than maybe another service-based business like a pest control or something. It allowed us to kind of start the business and grow it slowly. And, Ed and Susie was a big play in that, and Swimming Pool Warehouse. But, we worked together on putting that plan together, and it was a process that we did together, and it wasn't, I hope it eased your nerves a little bit doing it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you didn't just jump in. You had, like you said, you worked for Ed, so doing motors, repairing motors, and then you got to learn the process and learn the pool industry as you were starting your own.
Right. While I'm working there, the first couple of years are pretty rough and tough on us,
Yes.
What was it like for you in those, first 2 years, seeing me come home at all hours of the night and, being in the middle of that like hustle and grind era?
Partly it was frustrating because, one, I didn't know what time you were coming home. So are you eating dinner with us? Are you not eating dinner with us? Do I need to pack you a dinner? Like, what's going on with your health and your eating? Mm-hmm. As a wife, we're concerned for our family's health and making sure everybody has water and food. And, so that part was like, is he here for dinner? Is he not? Partly, too, because our son was so young. So it made me nervous. Like, well, if he never sees daddy, like, I'm going to be watching him the whole time. So then my patience are thin as I watch other people's kids all day and teach them. Then I come home and watch my son, which I would have come home and watched him anyways. But you're doing everything by yourself. You almost feel like you're a single parent. And I remember thinking, how do single parents do this? Like bedtime and bath. And at that time, he didn't have homework, because he was little. But, it just gave me a greater appreciation for people who do hustle and grind all day, every day for their family. Mm-hmm. But I remember thinking, as tough as this is in this season, it is just a season. Like, we're going to be able to get through the first part of the startup of the business and be able to follow a schedule and maintain a routine and be able to do things together where Tyler is able to solidify things at work, which means things at home will solidify. And I just remember thinking, and you told me this too, like, it's just a season, like, we're going to get through this. But, you know, right now I am gone all day, every day. And even sometimes you would go to work like Saturday on the weekends, you know, so I'm thinking, okay, well, Monday through Friday I can do this, but then he'll be back on the weekends. But not really. If you're the only one cleaning pools, you're the only one doing your business at the time, then you have to do whatever you have to do. If a customer calls you like, hey man, something's going on with my pump, Tyler's the only person that can go out and fix that person's pump. You know, so I remember on the weekends too, he'd be like, sorry, baby, I got to go out and go help, you know, this client. And I'd be like, okay. Mm-hmm. But I just kept my eye on the prize, if you will, thinking about the future. Like, this is for our future. So as frustrating as it may seem, or, you know, you're getting like irritated or whatever, you got to just keep your eye on the prize and look towards the future, and knowing that this is building your future, and you're getting it built now for success, so that later it can run itself and be profitable. So you got to put the work in order to get it to run how you need it to.
Yeah, and I remember telling you, I think, you know, and this is his main focus was he was only 6 months old, and he doesn't know that I'm going to be gone, right, all the time. This is like kind of the perfect opportunity to do that, because if he's older, like where Maxton is now, 3, if I started doing that where I was gone all the time, you know, he's able to talk and communicate, and then he'd be like, where's daddy? But when Maddox was that little, I remember talking to you about like, this is really the perfect time, because he doesn't know that I'm not there. You know, you do, but he doesn't. So we can hopefully work these 2 years and build something that then by that time life will be different a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember having those conversations, which aren't always fun either. Like, you know, you're talking about the things that are going to be hard, and nobody wants to talk about things that are going to be hard, right? But it's totally necessary if you're going to make your business run successfully. You have to talk about the hard things and make sure you communicate well with your spouse, even on like, hey, I'm not going to be home for dinner tonight, but I'll try tomorrow. You know, just those small little text messages are so huge when you're working side by side with a partner or spouse.
And we worked through those together, because, you know, you would tell me that kind of stuff where, you know, it kind of bothers me that you don't just tell me where you're at, because I don't know what to do as a wife. I don't know when to have dinner ready or not, or, you know, when I can do these certain things based on your schedule is just so sporadic. So I had to really kind of work on texting you and a quick little message saying I won't be home, or, you know, because sometimes it's even hard to get the time to do that. But, you know,
take a little break and communicate. Yeah.
I made it a priority though, because I knew it was important to you, you know, to make sure that we were communicating on that level. So even working through those type of conversations was hard. So I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges we faced was that we were both working full-time jobs, raising a son together, also trying to buy a house during that process. So what do you think it took to kind of make all of that work?
Definitely communication, right? I know it's way easier said than done, but definitely just being in sync, on the same page, looking at, like I said, eye on the prize and your goal. Like, okay, so you're starting up this business, you're running this business right now by yourself. We know Greg comes into the picture later, but the startup is by yourself, and, you know, just be able to communicate. And like I said, sometimes you got to talk about things you don't want to talk about or things that are hard, but it's definitely necessary so that both partners are in agreement. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're setting up our future, and we want to be able to set up a good life for our kids. So definitely just being in a partnership and agreement of being on the same page and knowing that, okay, this is what we're going to do to help solidify our future for our children and for ourselves, for our marriage. Mm-hmm. I think creating a routine and a schedule, you know, both partners know, okay, I'm going to take him to school, but you're going to pick him up on Tuesday, or I'm going to grab groceries on whatever day, Saturday, and then I'll meal prep on Sunday. And if you could help me in the backyard on Tuesday, and then I can work on laundry Monday, whatever it is. I mean, you don't even have to be that detailed, but just so each person knows what the routine is, what the schedule is, you know, talking about maybe on a Sunday night when your kids are in bed, you're laying in bed, it's time to go to bed, but you and your partner or your spouse are talking about the upcoming week, like your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just building that routine and that schedule of you're doing this, I'm doing this, together we're doing X, Y, and Z. Right. Just able to work together. And like I said, sometimes it's easy just to get into that niche and do your own thing. But as long as you're relaying to your partner, hey, I'm going to do this, just so just an FYI, so that your partner isn't like stressed about where you are, what you're doing, or, if you have a meeting with a client or, you got to go fix something on their pool or, whatever industry you're in, just be able to make sure your partner knows, okay, I'm going to be here at this time, but I'll be home at 8 p.m. today instead of 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, one of the other things we did, and I don't think it was of a popular opinion, to some of the older generational, is sharing the house duties, So when we both are working full time and both trying to do, you had a full career, I was trying to do this, it was very hard for me to think that it was right for me to come home and rest and you to do all the housework, right? And I think a lot of people kind of think that the wife's job is to do the house stuff no matter what's going on. But I always felt that we should share making dinner and share doing laundry and share doing that stuff because you're working full time too. And I don't think it's fair, like, for me to come home and not participate in any of that. And I know, like I said, it's not somewhat of a popular opinion that way, but I really think that made a huge difference in us being able to survive and get through those times.
Yeah, I love how you use the word survive too, because in that startup phase, you literally are surviving day to day, especially like you said, both working full time, you have young children, during our time, we're trying to buy a house, so we have outside responsibilities of that and, trying to save money for this and that. So yeah, sharing the house duties was definitely a huge help. It kind of helps me not to be so stressed. And I think too, when parents are stressed, the kids can feel that. They know that mom and dad are stressed, mom and dad are, frustrated. Maybe you had a bad day at work and then you come home and you got to, be on your A game for your kids and like show up for your kids, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so great to share those responsibilities and those home duties and tasks, the day-to-day laundry, dishes, cooking, cleaning. It is so helpful to share that because you each can try to minimize that stress. Mm-hmm. Whereas if one partner's super stressed, the other one can help that partner and then kind of disperses that stress. I mean, you're still going to be stressed, right? You're starting up a business, but it will help relieve that stress. And especially if you have kids, then it helps you show up for your kids instead of just living in this stress mind for hours on end, all day, every day. You're stressed at work, you come home, you're stressed, just so much to do.
So I think, one of the cool things we did too, and we still do this to this day, I think, is when somebody needs to just take a break, we kind of understand that. And, especially with two boys and going through all that, if I need to just go to bed, you're pretty good at just doing that part yourself, or vice versa. Happens more now where I go to bed earlier because you're not working anymore full time. But although being a mom is full-time job.
Yeah, I'm still working, bro.
But you're not at a location working, so you're able to do some of the other stuff and throughout the house, which is way helpful. But we always kind of had an understanding of, if you need a break or I need a break, the other one kind of just takes that role, takes the parenting, go puts them to bed, does the bath, and takes that off of the other. And I think that helped alleviate some of that stress too, where we could just kind of bounce that off one of another, especially when you're working the teaching job full time. There was days that you were exhausted or had bad days that I was exhausted, had bad days, but kind of just, hey, do you mind doing that tonight? I just really need to go to bed or whatever. So I think that was it's really a key point in the family life because we didn't expect always to be doing that.
Right. And I think too, you just brought up too, there's that communication piece. Hey, do you mind? You didn't just come home and go take a nap. Right. You talked to me first about it. Hey, do you mind if, I go lay down for a minute while you finish cooking dinner? So it just comes back to that communication of, hey, and you have to remember too, you're partners and you're working together. So the best way to do that is to, respect one another. If you're exhausted, then yeah, I can pick up, tonight's responsibilities and duties. Whereas if I didn't respect you, I'd be like, no, get over here and help me, Right. So it's definitely that respect piece of, hey, you're my partner. I want what's best for you. Yeah, go lay down and I'll pick up tonight's duties and I'll do it.
Right. And also not taking advantage of that and just really getting to understand and know that's part of building the relationship and friendship and really getting to know one another and how we react in facial expressions and different body languages. You could tell, when you should probably step up or, you have the opportunity to not. So, it's part of just really figuring it all out as being a married couple.
Oh, buddy, we got a special announcement here.
Yes, we do.
So our friends at Jandy are crushing it with their push to quit the internet.
Crushing it.
We recently made a special trip to San Diego to see their new facility, which is amazing. But most importantly, to get an update on their progress with catching online violators. We had the opportunity of sitting in on their enforcement meeting, and let me tell you, this was taken a lot more seriously than we thought it would. They showed us a chart of violations and, their progress from January till now. They're at 82% attainment of compliance, meaning from day one when they started policing and enforcing to today, they have reduced the number of Jandy violations online by 82%.
It's simple. The customer wants to go online and save a few dollars by purchasing their equipment online. This is something that we've all gone through as service professionals, and Jandy's heard the cry. They've taken a stand and they've supported our industry. They understand that only a qualified pool professional should work around electrical, gas, and hydraulic connections. I mean, have you even seen a customer work with that kind of stuff?
I have, and it's not pretty.
Definitely not pretty. Jandy's warranty will not cover any Jandy equipment that is not purchased, installed, and or serviced by a pool professional. This will save you guys time and money by allowing you to avoid those awkward conversations with your customer and let you focus on the part of the business that you do best. If you want to find out more details, listen to episode 31 of the podcast or go to jandy.com/builtstrong. That's jandy.com/builtstrong. So what do you think you'd recommend people focus on when they're in those growing pains of a business or in the messy middle, as Greg would call it?
Yeah, so the messy middle is not fun, right? But you just focus on the end result. What do you want this business to do for you and your family? What do you want this business to produce for you and your family? Or, if you don't have a family, what do you want it to do for you? Do you want to be working for your business, or you want your business to work for you? So just in that messy middle part where you're stressed, you're running ragged, you're doing all these things all the time, your brain won't shut off. Just keep your eye on the prize of, okay, when I get through this, I'm going to be able to X, Y, and Z, or it's going to help me, become a better entrepreneur, or whatever your goal is. I would say keep your eye on the prize and focus on that goal of what you want your business to do and how you want it to run.
Yeah, so creating goals and really going after them.
Absolutely.
Was there ever a time you thought to yourself that the business may not work?
Not really, no, because I know you and your heart. And you are so good about making sure that your family was okay, your wife, and now your 2 children. You still are about just making sure that we're good and that we're on board with what you have planned and, moving onward and upward. So no, I never thought it wouldn't work, but I think it does go back to that goal thing. If you are in a position where you think your business may not work, go back and look at your goals. What do you want your business to do? And then you go from there. If you've lost track of your goals, then it may not work out. But if you know what you want and what your desire is, then you're going to be able to make that happen.
Right. In those first 2 years, a year and a half, was pretty much me and you grinding it out and figuring this business out, understanding what pools are and how to run a company and all this stuff in one big lump sum, and it was very difficult. And I think one of the biggest turning points in the business was when Greg came and rode along with me, and all the crap that happened when he moved to San Diego. But eventually when he came back and moved here with his family and brothers became, a real partnership, I had been struggling, a lot to wear all the different hats that are required to run a business myself. And he's such a big part of the reason Brothers was successful, and it really changed everything. So how did you feel about that transition and seeing that turn in the business?
I loved it. I was totally on board. One, because it was Greg, right? Like, your best friend was in California. You were in Phoenix. I was excited for you to be back with Greg and to be around your best friend who you lived with in high school, to kind of like old times, like, yes, my best friend's back.
Right.
So I was excited for you, like, socially, like, Greg's back. But then I was also excited for you to be able to not take a load off because you're still working your butt off, but able to have somebody to share that with. So you would share with me, but I'm not in the day-to-day nitty-gritty. I just hear what you tell me. I wasn't out there in the field with you. I was in the classroom teaching. So I thought it was very just cool for you to be able to share with him and to be able to, kind of de-stress. Like, you have your friend with you. He can help you pick up the slack. If you have something going on with the pool, but you still have 14 more pools to clean that day, you have extra hands there to help you. So I was just grateful for his help and his encouragement, and just the physical part of being able to make things go faster for you for the day. And then just, another ear to listen to, another buddy to lean on, and just to help grow your business to make it the best that it can be.
Yeah, that was a huge difference, being able to hand some of those hats off, and took a lot of weight off my shoulders and our shoulders as a family. We had different challenges as having two owners, but it really let me focus on what I'm good at and let him focus on what he's good at, and then to build the company together and focus on those certain things. It allows you to not have to worry about something that you may not be good at, that you're struggling to do by yourself, but then now somebody else comes in and has that strength and is able to complete those tasks at a much quicker time, or because they just have that knowledge. So it was a really big deal, and he's a big part of it, and I think it really helped our family quite a bit, being able to make that transition.
Absolutely. Your face would light up too, like when you talk about it. Well, Greg and I today, we whatever it was, just in your eyes, like your face would light up. Whereas before, it's like, I'm working for myself. This is great. But you could just see like that stress was like not as dominant in your face when you would tell me about your day at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I had struggled for a while to really find a good friend out here too. So you're right. It was cool to have like my best friend back in town with us. So another big movie made, after we were with Brothers, is bringing over Kyle from Minnesota to be a part of the team. We had this really, I don't want to say sucky route, but it was a sucky transition where it went from technician to technician to technician, always that same specific route, which was super frustrating. I remember one day I was just sick and tired of dealing with that specific route and that always changing, and the customers complaining about having different technicians on that route. When Kyle and Anna came out during Christmas time, or I think it was, or Anna's birthday, we initially talked and said, hey, so it wasn't Christmas, it was Anna's birthday, which is when's her birthday? August. So we had made a talking about him coming over like in the beginning of the summer. And, I really just remember talking to Greg, and Greg wasn't fully on board, because it's difficult to bring somebody from Minnesota to Arizona. Like, it's a weird transition, but I had a really good feeling about Kyle, and I thought, if we could get him acclimated to the business and the company, that he could do a good job. And, I really thought he could fill that void. So I called him up and asked him, like, hey, is there any possible way that you could, come out earlier? But they had just got married, and it was a kind of a crazy transition, but he's done an awesome job at everything, including Pool Chasers. So, them moving here must have been pretty cool for you, though, because it's your sister as well, right?
Oh, it was so cool. I remember, just being like so excited, like, is this actually happening? So your family had moved here, like you and I kind of pioneered out to Phoenix by ourselves,
right,
to go to school. So then your family started slowly coming, like your brother moved to Tucson, and then Maddox was born, our oldest. So then your parents were like, well, I want to be with my grandkids. So they moved out from California. And then a few years later, Greg came. But I'm still here I have your family. We're married. They're my family too, but I'm still here with no family members, right? I mean, I have my friends from church and everything. I was fine, but, and then here comes Anna's like, yeah, we're going to move there. Kyle's going to work for Tyler. And I'm like so excited because my sister's coming to Phoenix, and I mentioned earlier how we grew up on the farm. So, everything was kind of like easy breezy, that Midtown feel, Midwest feel. But it was so exciting to finally have a family member of my own, here. So I remember, but I also have this mentality, and I still do. I'll believe it when I see it. So I was like, super excited, but I didn't want to get my hopes up because Anna had to find a job. We knew Kyle was going to work for you, but, we didn't know the details of that. So, I was just kind of apprehensive too. But then they moved here and it was awesome. I was just so excited to finally have my sister here and be able to share, Phoenix with another family member. And my family grew up very close. And we still are close. Like, we like to do things together and be together and, communicate and share together our life experiences and milestones. So it's just really fun to have her here now and just to be a part of what's going on, the bigger picture of entrepreneurship and Pool Chasers and Brothers and everything. So it's super exciting for me. Yeah,
I was excited for you too, because I think it was, we would make probably 2 trips out there a year or try to and see them, but it was, our kids were about to be out of the flying for free stage, so about to cost us 4 plane tickets every time, which that would have probably dropped us down to going once a year. So, it was really cool for you to have somebody else come out and spend time with and be a part of it. And now your family's moving here.
Right?
The other one.
My whole family's coming now. So, Anna and I are here, and then Krista and her family are moving here in a couple months.
Yep.
So it's just crazy to me to think back. Like I said, you and I came here for school. And like I said, we came by ourselves. We pioneered out here. None of our family was here. Now your whole family's here, and almost my whole family's here. So it is pretty cool and crazy to think over the last 10 years of, wow, everybody has relocated to Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be.
Pretty random.
Yep.
So all that's happened over the 6 years with Brothers Pool Service, and what are your thoughts on the pool business and the industry in general?
I'm just so grateful for the pool business. I know it sounds weird, but I'm just grateful that it's worked out and it's gone well, and all the tears, blood, sweat, and tears, everything, the hard work that's gone into it has definitely paid off. This is your industry. This is your niche. You found what you love and you've been successful at it. And you and Greg have just done a phenomenal job of, bringing goodness to the pool industry and bringing knowledge and wisdom. And you're trying to just help people be the best that they can be and be the best technicians they can be and make their jobs easier by doing this podcast. So I really just am grateful that you found something that you love and enjoy and something you're good at and you've learned, and you want to take on what you've learned and pass it to somebody else. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and Brothers was a really big part of our story, and I think it's, something we will always remember, and that's the first hustle and grind, the first exposure to business, the first everything, so it was a very big learning curve, but very cool for our family.
Absolutely. Yep.
Tyler, you know what I saw today?
What'd you see today, Greg?
A husband and wife inside MPT looking to pick out some new tile for their new pool. And you know who was there to help them?
Who?
An MPT expert. And the process seemed to be going pretty smooth.
Well, yeah, MPT Design Center is the place to go for pool tile, pool finish, hardscapes, and outdoor kitchens. Whether you're building a pool, remodeling it, or just dreaming about it, you can check out their website at mptpool.com to locate an MPT Design Center or showroom near you.
And for all you pool professionals, builders, designers, send your customers to MPT for professional design assistance and product samples they can take home. On the mptpool.com website, you'll also find a wealth of photographs to show what MPT products will look like when they're installed. Plus, you can download a copy of the MPT tile and pool finish catalogs or order a printed copy to be mailed to your home.
So download the MPT mobile app to select products, save favorites, and email them directly to your pool builder. And be sure to follow MPT Pool Products on Instagram and Facebook for the latest photos and product information. October 2017 comes around. We're going to have us for our company retreat. We have a great time, come back. Greg and I both start talking about podcasting. Have you ever even heard of a podcast at the time? And what did you start thinking when you heard me talking about that?
Nope. I thought you were nuts. Love you, babe. Thought you were nuts. I've heard of podcasts. It's like that up and coming. Now it's more common, but at the time, I was like, I've heard of them, but I don't really know what they are, what they do, or what's the purpose of them. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, podcasts are great. And people even like still when they ask, oh, what does your husband do? And I was like, oh, he and his business partner, they run a podcast. They're like, a podcast? Like you have to explain. You're like, well, it's kind of like radio for the internet.
Yeah.
Like people look at you like with the side eye, like, lady, what are you talking about? So, no, I remember my first question to you was, well, how does that work? Like you're going to run Brothers and Pool Chasers. You're like, yeah, we're going to start, diving into the podcast industry. I'm like, okay. You're like, but we're going to do it for pools. And I was like, okay, well, that's smart because the pool industry. You're not just going to do a podcast on something random where you have to relearn everything. So I thought that was wise on yours and Greg's end. And I just was supportive because you guys were so excited. I didn't really know what to think or how to like explain it to people. But I was like, well, if they want to do it, I support them. As your wife, I want to, like I said earlier, be your cheerleader and help that we have your back. So whatever you want to dive into, I'll be there with you. Just knowing that podcasting, I remember thinking like, okay, how's this going to work with his time? Because at this point, I kind of had you home a little earlier for dinner. We're starting to eat dinner together. The first 2 years, we weren't sure about dinner and when you were coming home, but now we kind of gotten this really good routine with our family and our boys and going to school and picking up from school and all that. So I did wonder that, like, okay, how's our schedule going to change again? Because here you are starting up a brand new business again. So I do remember thinking that, like, all right, how's this going to work for our family? But just like we did before, we communicated and talked it over and worked things out. And yes, you had late nights again, but as long as I knew it wasn't so bad.
Sure. Well, it did shake up all of our lives once again. So, it is difficult, and it's part of being the entrepreneur and finding something else that you think has the opportunity to, to something else that you have the opportunity to do as a business. Like it really, that's part of the spirit. Once you catch it and you see the vision of it, it's hard not to try to run after that vision. So, it did shake up our lives once again, though. But I think, we learned a lot through Brothers, and we learned a lot communication. You and me and Greg and Karina and all of us together learned how to communicate much better so that our time is more, known, and we know that it's going to take a lot of time, and we can work around our kids' events and lives and things, but also learned how to communicate through all of that, which allowed this to be a little bit easier.
Absolutely, too. I appreciate you just letting me know, like, right now, the guys work late on Wednesday nights. So myself and our children know, okay, we're not going to see Daddy on Wednesday nights. Dinner's on us. Homework's on us. Baths, bedtimes, all of that is on me. But I know, okay, Wednesday nights, he's gone. He's working on Pool Chasers. He's working on Brothers, whatever, at the time, whatever you were working on. Mm-hmm. So I just knew, like, okay, Wednesday nights are devoted to work. Therefore, I have the house duties and the family duties. So I appreciate that, too, just knowing, like, all the hustle and the grind that I have to hustle and grind at home, too, which is good. I mean, I think it's good for kids to see mom hustling and grinding, too, not just dad.
Right.
Why is dad not home Wednesdays? I'd explain, well, he's working, but, we'll see him tomorrow for dinner. And my kids just know now. They don't even ask. Like, they just know. Our 7-year-old's like, yep, it's Wednesday. Won't see Daddy till tomorrow. And he's cool with it. Doesn't make him sad. Doesn't make him mad. He's totally fine because he knows, okay, Wednesday, Daddy's working, and then we'll see him again on Thursday. So I just like that part, too, where we have that schedule laid out of, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, and everybody's cool with it.
Yeah, he's getting smarter too. On Tuesday nights he'll tell me, oh, tomorrow's your late day, I won't see you, and he gets sad, a little sad.
Yeah, he does.
That's cute. So we just recently decided to sell the pools and do Pool Chasers full time. That had to be kind of a little bit scary and uncomfortable, knowing that we had these pools and now we don't.
Yeah, super scary because once again, I think about money and healthcare, and okay, so you're not going to do pools, which is a steady income. You know, your clients are paying you to clean their pool, and now you're moving on to this kind of this unknown business, right? I mean, it's still new and up and coming. So yes, I knew you could do it. And yes, I knew that you would be great, you and Greg together. But what about us? You know, like you have that in the back of your head, like, because I'm no longer working. And so it's like, okay, well, we need something to maintain our paying the rent and buying groceries. And I still need healthcare because unfortunately I'm still diabetic, you know? So I just remember talking about that, like, yes, I support you. You can do Pool Chasers full time, but what does that look like for our finances?
Right. Yeah, and then we had to really walk through that whole plan again. And again, we had experience with brothers, so that tremendously helped. And I think, you know, whether you're going to take on another type of business or design a product or do something else on the side, you know, making sure that you explain everything and figure out the plan with your partner, with your spouse, really helps to be like, okay, well, this is how I see it. This is how we're going to be taken care of. This is the protection plan, and this is, you know, everything is laid out. It's an educated decision and an educated leap. Now, do I know if it's going to work out all the time? No, but that's part of, you have to take risks like we talked about, and spending money to make money and figuring out these different things. You have to really figure out and make an educated guess and an educated, you know, jump into that new era. And, you know, I'm just so grateful, and I know Greg is as well, that you guys allowed us to, you know, do that and support us through all that. So thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. I think too, it's a two-way street, you know, communication. And if I wanted to do something, you would support me, you know, so of course I'm going to support you because, you know, it makes for a happy marriage. You know, if you don't support each other, you have rifts in your marriage, and then you go home and home's not a safety zone anymore. You know, if you're like fighting and, well, I don't support you, you know, it just makes for craziness. And I don't like craziness. I like happy. So
right.
I just, you know, of course I'm going to support you because I want you to be happy.
Right. Well, thank you. What are your overall thoughts on the podcast now and the Pool Chasers community?
I just think, wow, like this is working and people are supporting it and the community is growing. You guys are able to travel and go to, you know, trade shows and be able to get the word out. One thing I think is honorable is that you and Greg are showing people, like encouraging them and showing them, hey, our pool industry, you know, here's some knowledge about X, Y, and Z in pools. Now, I don't know pools. That's why I say X, Y, and Z. But,
sure.
You know, I feel like so honored to be on the other side as your spouse and your partner, cheering you on and be like, you guys are getting, you know, wisdom in the hands of technicians and pool builders and everything. So I like that you're spreading the word and just encouraging people. I think that's what makes for, you know, good friendships and a good society is people encouraging others, you know, and building them up. And, hey, man, I learned this about pools. Maybe this will help you too. Or, you know, I ran into this problem. Maybe you've had this problem as well. This is how I solved it. You know, I just like that you're working together to build up the pool industry and to build the community and to encourage and help and just grow the pool industry and just making it the best that it can be. I think it's really cool to be a partner in that and an advocate for making things go well inside that industry.
Yeah, it's something we really believe in and something we're very honored to be the voice of, you know, me, Greg, and now Kyle being a part of that and really helping dial in a lot of things on the podcast side. You know, it's really allowing us to move forward in a group, and it is really cool, you know, to be a part of the community that's growing and being able to go with this movement. So that kind of wraps up some of the talk here, you know, really about the Brothers Pool Service and Pool Chasers and everything. So kind of want to jump into a little bit more of why it's important to have somebody behind you and be your backbone, and, you know, why that support is so important to go along with life. So, you know, you've kind of been immersed in my life, you know, with our different backgrounds and family dynamics. You know, it can be a lot to balance. Why did you choose to embrace that?
Well, I chose to embrace it because I choose you, right? I mean, you're my spouse. And like I said, when you have like rifts or fighting at home, it makes your work life hard. It makes everything else hard. So if I can support you and encourage you and uplift you in your dreams, it's going to make everything else in our lives flow well. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are we going to have arguments? Absolutely. But I chose to support you because I choose you. You know,
Right.
it's what makes your partnership work is when you're both on the same page and you're both melding your ideas together. And, you know, you come home and tell me, today we interviewed so-and-so and it was so cool. And I want to like celebrate those successes with you and be able to cheer you on and be like, great job. You know, that sounds so cool. I bet people love listening to that episode.
Yeah. But it can be a lot, you know, and figuring out, you know, how to immerse yourself into my life and me vice versa into your life. And really, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to be there for one another in those certain ways.
Absolutely. It does take a daily decision of, hey, we are going to put in the effort to make this work.
Right. So Greg and I both very much believe that we cannot do this without the support we receive at home from you guys. So what is it that keeps you maybe motivated or encourages you to stand by me through everything?
Well, even through the ups and downs, the goods and bads, the stress, you know, all of that, starting a company from scratch and working through that, I just pray, and I know that God has us in his will and he wants what's best for us, right, as a loving God. So I just find encouragement from that, knowing, okay, God, if this is your will, it's going to work. It's going to happen. And like I said earlier, just the fact that you are encouraging and providing instruction and wisdom to the pool industry, that's so honorable because you're helping others. So I want to encourage you and be by your side because you're helping others. You're doing things that other people admire and what other people need. So it's good for me to be by your side to just help encourage you. I think too, as a partner in life, it's good to help take off some of that stress. So if I can encourage you and cheer you on, then when you come home, you feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders from working 8, 10, 12 hours a day to come home and just kind of take a deep breath and relax. Like if I can provide that for you, then I'm doing my job as your wife.
Right. Well, it's a very important job and it means a lot to me. And I know to Greg as well. And that also, Kyle, you know, we all have a good foundation at home and it helps a lot in being able to really stay focused while we're at work. I know a lot of people, you know, in different jobs I've had will either, you know, have, I don't want to say crazy spouses, but spouses that nag them all the time or bother them all the time or question things. And, you know, it's really, I think all three of you do a very good job at like letting us work when we need to work and understanding that this is a job. This is how we make money. This is how we provide for our family. And, you know, we really talk about that a lot. And it really means a lot to us that you three, you know, are so encouraging and helpful and understanding. And it does take pressure off of us. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think too, it helps us understand what you're going through and to like hear your heart when you as men step up and explain and guide us as your spouse. So what I mean by guide is like just like telling us what you're doing and what you're going through and just help like open our eyes to it, because Karina, myself, and Anna, we're not entrepreneurs. We are in this with you as your partner, but like I said, we're not in it day to day. We all work other jobs, right? So I think it helps us to be able to hear your heart and to sit one-on-one and be like, okay, and hear your goals and to listen to what you want to do with your business, and so that we can be on board with you as you share. So the more that you share and open up as men helps us come alongside you and cheer you on and encourage you.
Right. What would your best advice be for somebody in your shoes who has a business owner or entrepreneur as their partner in life?
I would say just encourage. I know I've used that word a lot, but it really does go far. Just, you know, be their cheerleader on the sidelines, like, hey, you got this. I believe in you. I want what's best for you and our family, if that applies. And just, you know, cheer them on, encourage them. You know, those words go really far. And when they are, at work trying to grind and build their business, they can have that in the back of their minds as my partner is willing me to do this and my partner is encouraging me so I can do this. It gives them something to think about when they want to give up. Be like, nope, I'm going to keep going because my partner's in this with me. So just my advice would be just to keep encouraging your spouse or your partner, keep encouraging, whoever you're with, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. But whoever's the entrepreneur and you are their significant other, just keep encouraging them, when they come home stressed, defeated, down, try to help them, de-stress, give them a place where they can come home and relax, give them a place where they can feel loved and appreciated, and to know that, okay, I'm going to wake up and do this again tomorrow and make this work. So I think just giving them that sense of, yes, I can do this because you're cheering me on, but then not only that, but provide a place where they come home and can de-stress and relax and just be back to themselves.
Yeah, and I think a big part also is knowing and understanding that for us, this is something that we have to do, and it's in our blood, and we want and strive for it. And, for you guys to really understand that is a big part of the picture, and being able to really know that sometimes, I'm not going to be able to come to everything, although this allows us to make most events, which is awesome. But
absolutely,
I can't always be at home at certain times, and I need to do certain things at these times. And I think you've done a good job at really helping, just saying okay and, working through all that. Also, one of the really cool things about having somebody like that at home is, and while you're raising a family, really helps me feel comforted that our family is going to be taken care of and the boys are being taken care of, and that I don't have to worry about that side, which is a huge, huge piece to the whole puzzle, because it's hard. It's hard not, calling them on Wednesdays and saying goodnight through a phone. It's hard, not being able to be at every part of everything. And, Maddox asked me to pick him up from school, and I can't do that very often. And some other stuff that, we miss out on, but knowing that you are there and taking care of the boys, and that foundation at home is staying strong while we're here working, is a very, very cool thing to know and understand, and really appreciate that.
Yeah, I try to provide that for you, just that balance of work and home, and to know that things are taken care of at home, so focus on work when you are working.
Right. So if you could go back and change anything about this journey, what do you think that would be?
Well, this journey has been phenomenal. To think you and Greg started from nothing, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to start our own business, and you built Brothers to what it is, and now you've dedicated 100% to Pool Chasers, and you've built it to what it is. I'm just so grateful for, like I said earlier, the community and the support that you've received and gotten. And one thing I would change, I think, honestly, would be just my mindset. I try to be encouraging and be your cheerleader, but there are those tough days where I'm like, I have to take care of both boys by myself, and I have to do this and that. And I think for me, I would want to change my mindset and listen to what I told everybody else, is to keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on that goal. And I think for me, what I would change for myself is just to focus more on the goal instead of the frustrating day. For me, especially as a mom, I get into this like, oh, today did not go very well. Maddox and I argued, and the baby needs his diaper changed again, or, whatever it is. Dishes are piled up in the sink, and I haven't mopped in a week. We put on all that mom guilt. But just to release that mom guilt and to just try my hardest, and to not be in those frustrating moments, to not focus on the frustrating, but to focus on, this is what needs to happen right now in these moments, and to move on from that, and to know, okay, we have a goal set in place. This is setting up our future for our family. And Tyler is working, his butt off to make this happen with Greg and Kyle, and they're all working so hard. And just to be more appreciative of your hard work and not focus on the frustrating moments.
Yeah, I get that. I'm sure there's also times where I can communicate a little bit better and all that, and that would help. So we just always got to constantly work on that relationship and that communication, communication is huge in everything. And, sometimes I'm guilty of lacking and sometimes you are. And we just kind of figure that out together and apologize and try to do better next time. I know there's several times you've been frustrated where I haven't texted or I forgot to text and I'm coming home late. And then you made dinner and it's cold by the time I get home or something like that. But, and I'll just tell you sorry, then I'll work on it. Make sure that I can text you the next days.
And I think, too, it's helped us both grow as individuals, but also in our marriage. I think this process has been really cool if you watch from beginning to now where we are today to present, and just watching our growth just in our marriage and as individuals, and even with our boys. I think it's good for our boys to know Daddy's out working hard. And Mom is the one who picks me up from school and drops me off from school, and Mom helps with homework. I think it's good for them to see how Mom and Dad work together and how we communicate. It's good for them to see, oh, Mom brought her cell phone so we can call Daddy when we're in bed to say goodnight. Just all of that, instead of me being like, well, your dad's not home, I guess you're not going to say goodnight to him today. I think it's so good for our boys to see, like, okay, Mom and Dad are working together, Mom and Dad are communicating. And if you are lacking in that area in your partnership, that's just maybe one thing that you want to try to work on. Set that as a goal, is, to show our children, hey, we need to do this together.
Right. Yeah, we definitely try to communicate with them and let them know and understand what's going on. I mean, a lot of people, I think, don't think that kids see things or understand things, but they do. When I can't make things or be with things, I have to try to explain it to them. And yeah, you're right. Explain to them why we have to work hard together and why we have to do this and why Mommy and Daddy have to do that. And it really helps, I think, them understand, because even at 7 years old, he's able to communicate pretty well and understand most things. And, and if I was just absent father all the time, he would feel that. And I think, that's a big part of me explaining it, but also you being at home and being encouraging and explaining that really helps him understand, okay, well, Mommy's okay with it, so I'm cool with it.
Absolutely. Yep. You set the tone in your home on how you're going to react and how you're going to just pay attention to the situation. We as parents set the tone, and then the kids go from there. If I'm acting crazy, they're going to act crazy. If I'm sad, they're sad. Parents do set the tone.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been awesome. I think the boys both, they talk about being pool guys and different stuff, and it's fun to see and hear that, because I think it's one of the most underrated industries, because you can really make a career out of it when people don't even know it exists. But, sometimes being the pool guy is looked down upon, but it's cool to hear them just talk about it. And he wanted to do, Maddox did career day the other day and wanted to be brother's pool guy.
Yes.
So that's really cool, seeing that develop throughout. And, Maxton now wants to kind of play with the skimmer too. Like when I was doing it at the party, I want to do it, Daddy. And we have pictures of both of the boys skimming and stuff. And it's cool to watch them grow up in that and like it and, like what Daddy does. And, do I want them to grow up to be pool guys? Maybe not necessarily, but I'll teach them, the craft and teach them the trade, because, I think it's always a good business to teach your kids so that they have something to fall back upon. And that's what I'm really grateful for about the pool industry, is really knowing that it's a trade that I've learned and that I can, work towards mastering and teaching our sons to do it. Because I think, and I feel like, when we first got married, I didn't have a job for like 4 or 5 months right before we got married. And I got the job like a month and a half before. And, if I had known about this, like I could have easily gone and worked for a pool company and I would have been working super quick. So, developing those skills and those trades and really teaching them, I think that's going to be cool, and they understand and think it's a cool thing.
Absolutely. I think, just having those skills is so important. Just knowing like, oh yeah, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
It builds their confidence as well. Even if they don't want to be pool guys, it builds their confidence of, yes, I can be a hard worker. Yes, I have these skills. It's teaching them how to build those relationships as well. And just, having a skill in place, tools in the tool belt.
Yeah.
For life.
Always looking for those teachable moments and really just trying to educate them that they can do whatever they want to be. But this is always an option, and it's one that you can support your family on.
Absolutely. Yep.
So have you kind of read any books or listened to any podcasts recently that have kind of helped you?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the Hollis Co. Rachel and Dave Hollis. I'm into her books right now. I've read Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. Those have just helped me become, just a better woman, if you will. I've always been pretty self-confident, even like in junior high and high school. But just knowing how to be a better wife, a better mom, a better support of you and your business. Like she talks a lot about not letting, dimming your own light because other people are afraid of what the light you can produce. So just being able to, speak my mind and just being more brave and more bold with how I view our life and how I view the hard work that you've done. Just be able to tell people of how proud I am of you. And I'm just amazed at your and Greg's partnership and how you've built it to what it is. And you've had Kyle come alongside you to help, that out. And I just love how, where you're weak, Greg is strong, and vice versa, where maybe he's a little weaker, you pick up, that's your strength. So it's cool to watch you guys grow your business together, and Kyle too, to help assist and just be able to do what you need to do to make it wonderful. So I like that. I'm being more bold and brave about how I speak about you guys instead of just, oh yeah, they run their own business. Now I'm like, oh, it's so cool. They have this podcast named Pool Chasers, so now I'm like more bold about how I speak about you guys. So I'm
speaking more confident.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just so grateful for Rachel Hollis and her advice on how to be a good wife and a supporter of that, and just, a woman in general. I think too, what's really helped our marriage and go through all this is the Rise Together podcast that Dave and Rachel do together. Right now that's on repeat for me, as anytime I want to listen to a podcast, I'm pretty much on there. It's just because it just builds our friendship and builds our marriage. And they do talk about how to be married but yet work. I mean, they both are working on their business and building their business, and they've been very successful at it. So, so I think it's good for us as you're building your business to kind of not model them, but just take their advice.
Yeah, and I think, we've chosen to listen to that podcast together and kind of use it as like a training tool, and kind of applied some of the things that they do and have suggested. And it's cool to kind of take time together, even if it's 30 minutes. We listen to one 30-minute thing, and kind of on our date nights, we will just talk about something and try to improve our marriage. And that's cool, to do together. So that has definitely helped. And, one thing I think that I like that she says the most is not letting people in the cheap seats have an opinion. To me, that her saying that was one of the biggest impacts on me, because I just think, a lot of times we give family members or old high school friends or these other people that don't have really any say in our lives, we let them have an opinion. And why? Because you went to school with them 10 years ago and you're their Facebook friend. Who cares what their opinion is? You have to just really focus on your inner circle and those people that matter, and keep those people in your life, and don't let those cheap seat people have an opinion on your overall demeanor and your overall confidence and how you represent yourself. That to me is one of her coolest phrases. Absolutely.
And just being able to live your best life, if you will, just work hard, be present in the moment when you're with your family, be present in the moment when you're in meetings with clients, and just live your best life.
Yeah. And I think, God's always been at the center of our marriage. It's been a center of the way we've raised our kids and the way we were raised up, and the devotionals always help. And I know you've been doing your devotionals pretty regularly over the last couple years, and it's just really helped, I think, our marriage in general. And I do my best to do mine and spend my time alone too, and just helps really change your mood and the spirit and the way you kind of react on a day-to-day, if you can take the time, at least for our lives, to put that in there.
Absolutely. And I think too, just being grateful and showing gratitude, even if you're having a rough season, try to find something that you're grateful for. Just totally changes your mindset. Instead of dwelling on, oh, poor me, this isn't going well, change it to, hey, I'm really grateful for whatever it is.
Right. Well, I just want you to know, from the bottom of my heart, that I love you and I support, that your support means everything. And I probably can't look at you in the eyes because I'm going to cry. But it means so much to me that you would even take the time to come down here and do this, and that you support me and have always supported me and our lives together. I would not change. I love every part about it, and I love our boys, and thank you. I want to thank you so much for being that backbone and that support.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work, right, babe? It's what they say.
Right.
No, but I'm grateful to be here. I'm just so glad that I was able to come to the studio and see what you do on the day-to-day. Like, of course, I've seen the studio, I've seen your office, but I've never, like, experienced it for myself. So this is cool. And be able to sit in this seat in front of this microphone and just see what you do to make this business run and grow. And I think it's really cool just to be in this position on the other side. You know, like I said earlier, I've been a cheerleader on the sidelines, encouraging you, cheering you on. But, you know, today I'm playing the game. You know, I'm in the middle of it, you know, doing it. So this is fun for me. Thank you so much for having me. I just appreciate your dedication to your work and to your family and to making it grow. And I appreciate Greg so much for just coming up alongside of you years ago and saying, hey, I want in on your business. What are you doing? And you know, just his growth and development and helping this business run has been so cool to watch. And, you know, just having Kyle there producing and helping you as well. It's cool to see this family dynamic flow into a business dynamic. Right. You know, Greg's your best friend, your brother, and Kyle's your brother-in-law. So just watching the family come together and producing just this great product is so cool to be a part of. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's been really fun. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you giving us your time and your ear. If you're not following us on social media platforms yet, we are providing great content on there as well. So please check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If you're interested in helping support the podcast and get access to great bonus content, as well as an opportunity to record a bonus episode or even a full episode with us, you can go to patreon.com/Pool Chasers. That's patreon.com/Pool Chasers. And did you know that you can also subscribe to the podcast so that you get updated every time a new episode is released? So if you're not subscribed yet, please do so. And if you like what you hear, please take the time to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and all other major podcast platforms. Also, check out the Pool Chasers Facebook page. This is a place where like-minded pool professionals to ask questions, share knowledge, and come together as a community to help better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We truly appreciate it.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.